Ladies and gentlemen of the Truth Research class of 2025, if I could offer just one bit of advice, it would be do not and never wear sunscreen. The toxic cocktail of chemicals in sunscreen has been known to kill lab rats and monkeys. The sun gives life to everything. To try to shield one from it is insane. Thank you for coming. Hey guys, it's Matt. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Reality Slides that we'll jump into in just a moment. But does anybody underage, what the hell's the matter? What's the matter with anybody under age 40? Remember that Baz Luhrmann song? It popped into my head. I did that a few weeks back. Sunscreen or wear sunscreen. People under 40 are like, what the hell is that? If I remember, the advice is pretty good overall, I think. But I bet we could probably do a whole video on it. I bet the advice wouldn't seem as good now to us as it seemed like back in the day. Like, what is it? Move to New York once, but leave before it makes you hard. Move to California once. You shouldn't move to either place. I've lived in one place and spent a lot of time in the other. Nobody should ever set foot in either of those two places. So maybe we'll do a whole video sometime on that. Baz Luhrmann is some sort of Hollywood director, producer. I like Leonardo da Vinci DiCaprio's Romeo and Juliet with, what's her name? Claire Danes. I think it's great. But most of his other movies are just dreadful, like that horrible Australia. We'll jump into our reality slide in just a moment, but I looked up the lyrics briefly. He says in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen of the class of 99, it is, in 1 year, all of metaphysical reality will be shifted off to the side. We should do our own version. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proven by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice, see, the whole class, when he said, if I could offer you one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. And this was actually a commencement speech to thousands of kids that are graduating. At that point, they're going, that's the tip? Who the hell are you? Get the F out of here. They should have thrown him out the moment he said it. The commencement speech that Rodney Dangerfield, Matt, are you going to do reality slides? One more minute. Rodney Dangerfield in Back to School gave the commencement speech. That was a truth drop. He said, don't go into the workforce. Move back with your parents. That was a truth drop because basically right about that moment when Back to School was put into the theaters, every single kid coming out of college started to move back in with their parents. And 40% are still there 25 years later. Sorry. Before getting to today's very exciting reality slide topic, as a reminder, Reality Slides breaks complicated reality topics and discussions and philosophical ponderings down to very simple slides so anybody can understand the issues that we're talking about. Before Reality Slides, only Terrence Howard could understand it, and his 1 + 1 is, what is it? 1 × 1 is 2. I think that's what he said. So Reality Slides is basically a retarded form of Pictionary that breaks very complicated topics down into the simple. You'll be able to understand it, or anybody will, that's not on the download, frequency, or radio station of this metaphysical reality, or you have not been body snatched, and that only leaves 1%. Today's topic, sponsored by the Belinda and Melvin P. Gates Foundation. Even if it's real, it's fake. Even if it's real, it's fake. There's actually not a whole lot to talk about here, guys. You either see it or you don't, and that can be taken quite literally. It's not something that we need to take to the Oxford Union Debate Hall. It's very simple and very literal. Even if it's real, it's fake. Now, in the past, we thought all of these tens of thousands of events per year were somehow being pulled off. People are being quiet, paid, and threatened. We don't want to get into that again. We've been over that ad nauseum. Everything is pulled off, kept quiet. Oh, that entire police department, Matt, knows what really happened at the mall, but they'll never tell you. They all keep quiet. Oh, that entire hospital group, 40,000 workers across 10 hospitals. They know exactly what happened. They know there were no victims. They're all quiet and they're paid and okay. First off, all of the truth researchers should congratulate themselves, and even I congratulate the first grade truther, because they're pointing at it saying, something's not right about this, and going much farther than that, of course. This is fake. I mean, this is not right. There's too many anomalies, of course, and that's where everyone starts. It's all fake. I mean, because it doesn't seem real. even the first grade truther is a real being that is no longer in line with the frequency of this reality. Is no longer compatible with the ship of fools. So this is just something not right. It's all fake. But we've learned over the years, and even if we didn't know this, the fact that no real world or groups of people could pull off thousands and thousands of fake events and never really make a mistake, and your friends and family always believe it, and they don't ever point it out and say, I now see what you see. No, it's not, no real world could do this. So it had, most of it is actually real, but it's fake. Let me say that again. Most of it, if you went out there, is real. It really happened, but it's fake. Well, how's that? Because what we're noticing as we separate from the ship of fools is the entire reality is basically scripted out. You could say, for those on the ship of fool, or for this group or for that group, that maybe there is no free will for them. They're acting out a gigantic script that flows through this entire reality. Now, they might not be the same spiritual being as you are. They might be what's called this or that. I don't even get into that. Why they're acting it out, whether they're as real as you are, what the hell's it matter? I mean, I can't talk. Whether they're as real as you are or not, it doesn't matter. Whether they're a real being that chose to accept their cue cards and act out everything that is expected or to be expected of those on the ship of fools, that's what the first grade truther notices, and that's what we all should be congratulated for. Pointing it out initially, saying this is just off, but see, then what we do is the cardinal sin of trying to graduate as a truth researcher, trying to come up with an explanation that fits between the reality bookends. So if we look back, say over the past 12 years, at all the ridiculous events that they have presented, and there's been probably thousands of absurd and ridiculous events, at least initially, and I guess most of the truth community is still here, the explanation for how strange it looks has to come from between the reality bookends, from what makes sense to them. And still to this day, all they can come up with is it's fake. The firefighters are in on it. The police are in on it. All of City Hall is in on it. All the first responders are in on it. See how impossible this becomes? If this was the case, guys, they could pull off one major event every 2 years. And there'd be, since we've been looking at this, we'd have maybe 10 absurd presentations. We have like 10,000. So it just doesn't work anymore. No, most of these, it turns out, are real, yet per the reality slide here, fake at the same time. It's real, there may be a real victim, something really blew up, but it's part of a reality script that we notice. I'm not saying the ones that are just completely absurd. I'm not saying that the Robin Williams movie, Captain Hook with Dustin Hoffman, I'm not saying that's real. They major ones, okay, are completely cake in a lake. Orlando, the Legolas event. I mean, there, of course, but maybe those types of events, maybe that is what creates the momentum or the inertia for other events to maybe make the same absurd presentation, but actually be real, if that makes sense. Well, actually, how could that make sense? The other events, most of them are actually real. Even though when we see the presentation on the news, again, we see more family members that should be upset that aren't. Well, Matt, how is that happening? If it really happened, and in this case, there really was a victim, then the friends and family should be upset, but they're not. They're acting like the Rabby event. Why are they acting like... I don't know. Okay, I don't have all the answers. This is a very strange place, by the way, if you didn't realize that, where we live here. And to search for the final answer, let's not forget one of the most important points that you need to understand before getting into that spring of graduation that hope we're all going to have our commencement in just a few weeks. To try to find a final answer, to be tempted to put in the research because there must be an explanation. That potentially is the biggest trick of this entire reality. Come on back in, jump back into the water, get back into the weeds. There has to be an explanation, of course. But if you put the time in, these people over here like Matt, these just saying there is no potential explanation. It can't be found. That's a cop out. That's cerebral sloth from some idiot like Matt. No, you come back in here. You can find the answer. Don't listen to that jerk off. So go ahead, jump back in the weeds if you want. One of the central themes of this entire channel for the last 5 years has been it will beckon you to smash your boat up on the rocks singing its siren song, to come research it. And one of the ways it does that, perhaps its most successful tactic, is almost to show you on purpose a strange event, a weird anomaly. Victims, family members of victims, they never cry, they laugh, all that stuff is to suck you in. And perhaps we've been talking about separate realities, right? Talking about people like Frank saying we create everything. Maybe, and yeah, I'm keeping this on the table, as strange as this is, the presentation to us or people like us from the news event or the school event or the mall event or whatever it may be ridiculous, of course, only to us, where it would say, well, if I'm sitting down watching the news with my best friend is still seeing that family member of the victim still kind of chuckle and laugh, and they would have to say that that's not normal behavior. We don't know what they're seeing at this point, okay? The big day in 7-Eleven job application 2001, that big day was likely the start of the new century. From the calendar perspective, was likely the start of the new millennia. I don't care what they tell you or else about January 1st. And something happened to reality at that time. There's a shift of some kind. If I'm sitting with my friend Tony and we're watching the news and there are family members of supposed victims and they give a little laugh or whatever it may be, or they do one of these, you were the brother of the, who knows? I mean, that's not normal behavior. But if it was so abnormal, all of our cousins, our aunts and uncles, they would all be seeing it. They don't see it. We don't know what they see, whatever frequency they're on. So the point, guys, not to get too long-winded, is if you want to, go away and, clear fields or something, most things that seem absurd to us actually are real. Even if it's real, it's fake. It really happened. It's part of a reality script. Anything that's part of a reality script, a master plan, people acting out etheric cue cards, they don't know what they're doing, they're on a frequency, they're on a download, that's not a real world. That's completely fake by definition. So even though in the micro it's real, the macro, if you back up and look down from 100,000 feet and your hot air balloon, you can see how fake it is if you back up far enough. Even if it's real, it's fake. Now, okay, here's some people yelling at me. So, Matt, does that you believe that there are people up on the doing the gorilla suits and the pizza parties up on the ISS? You believe in this? That's one small step. What was my line? Oh, for man, one giant. What's my name? Alexa, cut that out. Cut that part out. Leap for mankind. You believe that? No. I'm not saying there's nothing faked in this. There's a lot of things faked. Just saying it can't possibly be the tens of thousands of things that we've classified as fake, because nothing could, even some sort of supernatural demons that came in from another dimension couldn't even pull that off without the people around us seeing what we see. It's just not possible. So you have to keep different things on the table. Strange explanations as to how this reality works on the table. So if I was debating, say, Terrence Howard at the Oxford Union Debate Hall, I would say to him, Terrence, stop with your 1 × 1 = 2. Stop throwing out your memorized formulas, trying to fool this audience that you're intelligent. Shut up for a second. Stop trying to rip into my argument, which you're not doing a very good job of, by the way. And tuck your pajamas back in. Get the food out of your mouth. You have to present a counter argument, Terrence. What is your rebuttal position, which would have to be based along these lines? If it seems fake on the news or whatever, on television or in the presentation, then it must be fake. If it seems fake, then it must be fake. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. So let me get this straight. There's been, according to Chuck and others, at least 400 strange mall events, school events, bang events, weird tragedies where things don't add up. The victims' families and friends all act funny. The circumstances don't. So there's like 400 major ones just there. And they're all completely cake in a lake. So every group of first responders is in on it. Every firefighter is in on it. Every police officer is in on it. The mayor is in on it. In every single case 400 times. Okay. Are there any other categories where we think things have been faked? Just a little bit. Has there ever been a space mission? Thousands? Oh, every one of those is... Oh, I'm not... Again, remember what I just said? I don't believe it. No, the eagle has landed. I don't buy it. Okay, so, but all the other stuff, there's been a lot of rockets sent. There's sometimes a hybrid of real and fake. What about what politics is, presidential elections, what senators are? I mean, there's 100 categories. Each category over the last 100 years has put forth about 1,000 things that we question, that can't be quite real. There's something wrong with that presentation. This looks funny over here. This smells funny over here. Already we're at about 1 million events. So, Terrence, if you think all the 1 million events would need to have 100 million people minimum in on it, all being quiet. I mean, it is really, really ridiculous that I even have to say this stuff at this point, but most of the truth community actually needs to hear this. They're not where we are. They think it's all being pulled off. I mean, no, you have to start looking at reality in a completely different way. Even potentially that you're carrying a separate reality from, say, your best friend or your Aunt Ginny. And that means, what, Terrence, I'm still speaking. Terrence Howard keeps interrupting me. Judge, Terrence Howard keeps interrupting. What do you want to rebut? You want to rebut. Finally, you want to rebut. With what? 1 times 1 equals 2. Shut up with that. We know that has nothing to do with what I'm saying in terms of an argument about even if it's real, it's fake. 1 times 1. Is that a decent Terrence Howard? Stop saying that. And let's say I agree with you, Terrence. What's that going to do for me? Am I going to go into a bar and pick up a girl? Hey, honey, 1 times 1 equals 2. What is that going to do for me? Can I get rich from that? Get this guy out of here. Get him out. Sorry. So my position's pretty simple. Most things, even though they look very strange, they're off, and they're actually real. Because nothing could pull all of that off. Because there are still, even though I say, well, Matt, you say it's fake world. Why couldn't it be pulled? Because there's still rules here, right? If I drop this brick on my foot, it's going to hurt. There are still rules here that can't be overcome, all right? Perception can be overcome. People carrying on realities are a little bit different, which relates to perception. That's where it really, what gets my attention. That's what gets my interest. So this is quite literal to me. Even if it's real, it's fake. Means most things are real, even if they look strange or off. It's fake because you go up in your hot air balloon to 100,000 feet and look down, and you from that perspective, you can see how coordinated and scripted everything is. Even if it's real, it's fake is put forth and allowed to exist because people are on a frequency and on a download. The event might happen, they're on the download, but if they're on the frequency, it's fake, right? The rebuttal to that is most things that seem fake to us, which there's been tens of thousands, are actually fake, which means, I don't know, again, maybe 100 million people are in on it, staying quiet, and the all-important paid and threatened. The Burl Ives silver and gold, paid and threatened. I'm not buying it. Well, Matt, if it's a fake world, why couldn't they all be? Well, how far do you want to push it? Okay, if I just yell fake world all the time, I guess it's possible 100 million people are in on it. I mean, but I think it's more about perception and a completely different off the ship of fools perception that we carry, where we're able to see through the reality script and how metaphysically at that level fake it is, where if you actually went out there There'd be like a real victim, something close to your house. You go down there, this really happened. What the? It seems so ridiculous on the news. I think they both can exist at the same time. And again, to your best friend, the news doesn't seem as ridiculous because you're off the frequency. I know this is a little bit hard to grasp for some people, but once you kind of get it, it's very simple. The event that really got me thinking about this was, was it 7 years ago? 7 or 8 years ago, I forget. There was some sort of guy was held up. This was a very serious it was a very reciteer is the word, news story in North Philadelphia. Some madman was held up and he had a gun, or did he have a hostage? And when they broke in, he shot an officer or something. And of course, I came forth and I watched, was still analyzing events, I guess, at that time, like wasting our time. And I said to our community, it was real. This one is real. Oh my gosh, did I take a beating for that. What a turncoat I was. That's truth or blasphemy. Nothing can ever be real. No truther shall ever say anything's real. Oh boy, I'm just sorry they knew this guy. Oh my goodness, because Matt, look at this footage. Looked like some ridiculous footage from a news chopper where like two, I don't know, agents of whatever agency, or they're poured like a red liquid on their hands or something, and then I made a rebuttal video. I'm like, well, let me get this straight. See, I didn't understand potentially how the reality works like I do now, or at least we're getting closer. But I thought, so let me get this straight. You sleuths just happened to catch that these agents, they poured like ketchup on their hands, and the news just happened to air it. All those things just perfectly lined up where they made a mistake, and the news had to air it. And they're going to do this out in the open, right out in the open before they get into their car. Wouldn't they think to get into the car and put the ketchup stains in the car? They do it right out in the open when the news choppers are flying right overhead. Oh, sure. Yeah, we caught them. We're super sleuths. We should get our little Sherlock Holmes merit badges any time now with a little Orphan Annie Dakota rings. Oh, we caught them. So I didn't really understand, but I was like, wait a second. That was planted. That was a fake element planted inside of a real event. And that got me thinking differently since that happened. But boy, from the first grade truther perspective, did I take a beating for a week. And what we know now is when we in the truth research community analyzing things through their media, see, it's coming through their filters. When we see a mistake, it's on purpose. It was actually put there to get our attention. Whether it be pouring the ketchup on the hands and where the news copters flying around, those Agent Smiths are too stupid to get in the car and pour the ketchup, to people flying around on wires on the ISS, to we've caught them walking in front of a green screen because look, it's obviously a green screen, to that was all on purpose to get our attention. Guess what, guys? Here's when you get close to graduating. Every single major mistake that we thought we caught was put there to get our attention. Let that one sink in if any first grade truther just happened to be rolling up here. So what's the conclusion to all this? Even if it's real, it's fake stuff. And the same sentence every single time. Don't look at any of it. Once you realize the entire reality is a presentation, right? Norm the Bathtub Rebel. Matt, what part of it? All of it. All of it's a script of some kind. The ship of fools participates in it. We're getting off or trying to get off to separate far enough where we no longer participate in it. One sentence. How you keep a channel going if it's all one sentence? I have no idea. Thanks for listening.